We're going to do a quick step-by-step guide to writing a clear, usable set of technical instructions. Step 1, give your instructions a clear title. Typically, instructions, as you probably know, are going to be titled How to blank. You also should include an introduction. In your introduction, you should clearly tell your reader what these instructions are going to teach them, list any important tools or equipment that they may need, and give them a sense of how long this will take for them to complete the instructions, ideally providing them with an exact number of steps and time frame. You should also provide any essential background information that they may need. Let them know why they may want to perform this particular activity, in what sorts of scenarios this activity needs to be performed, and forecast any important warnings that they may need to be aware of. Step 2, you want to make sure that you are actually giving numbered steps in your instructions and not just using bullet points. Of course, you need to go in chronological order, in the order that each step needs to be completed, and each step should be very manageable. Consider that your reader is going to be moving back and forth between the document and the task itself. So providing steps in small chunks is going to facilitate that process. You should also make sure that you're using design elements so that the reader can very quickly re-find his or her place after completing each step. And any important warnings need to be incorporated into the document at the appropriate location. Keep in mind that the reader is not going to read the instructions from front to back and then perform the task. The reader is going to read step 1 and then do step 1, read step 2 and then do step 2. So if there is an important warning that goes along with a particular step, that warning needs to appear at the appropriate spot in the instructions. Step 3, of course, revise and proofread. That should always be the final step of any technical document. Keep in mind that your warnings need to stand out for the reader. Technical instructions, perhaps more than any other technical document we ever write, are almost always going to be skimmed. And that means that important information needs to jump out so that the reader will definitely slow down and read it. We've all used instructions and have seen a variety of ways that warnings can jump out at you. Often warnings will have some sort of icon, perhaps an exclamation mark. They will often be written in bold red text. They may have a text box border around them. There are many different ways that you can make your warnings stand out, but it is important that your reader can clearly and quickly identify that there is some bit of information on the page that he or she absolutely needs to pay attention to. And then a few final thoughts. Make sure that your instructions are written in the imperative mood, and that means that you are making direct commands. You will not write these lengthy sentences that say the user will do X, the user should then do Y. You're going to write instructions that say do X, do Y, do Z. You also need to use active voice. Avoid passive voice when writing instructions. Don't write sentences like, when the X is engaged, Y will occur. Say, when you engage X, Y will occur. The reader is actively involved in performing this task, and the instructions need to acknowledge that. You also need to make sure that your instructions are incredibly easy to follow. If there are any technical terms that you need to use, provide a glossary at the beginning or end of your instructions. And as we already discussed, do not overload your steps. Make your steps very simple and manageable so that the reader can just read a sentence or two and then go perform the step.